What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 3 of the Sin City Open 2025 Premodern tournament. We got 2 red decks to show you, so let's get into those deck lists. First off, we have Mike on Mono U Stiflenought, and I'm going to do a quick disclaimer here. I do not have Mike's deck list. What you're seeing here is actually my deck list that I brought to this event. This is probably a pretty close approximation of at least the main 65 that he brought. I'm not showing the sideboard as that leaves a lot more room for meta calls and that sort of thing. So just to run through this list real quick, if you're not familiar with it, because it is kind of the tier 1 menace, it is everywhere. You have Phyrexian Dreadnought. Phyrexian Dreadnought is a 1-drop 12/12 trample, which does have the downside of when it comes into play, sacrifice any number of creatures with total power 12 or more, or bury Phyrexian Dreadnought. Well, you can get around that with 2 different cards that we currently play in this list. Number 1 is Stifle, which is counter target triggered or activated ability, or Vision Charm, which actually phases out the Dreadnought, so when the trigger happens, it has nothing to resolve, and then it phases back in like nothing ever happened. Beyond that, this deck is mostly just running counter spells to protect the Dreadnought and card draw to go find your combo pieces. There is 4 Portents, 2 Chain of Vapors, which is basically the only removal this deck has that is not counter magic, 3 Ops, 4 counter spells, 3 Days, 2 Flash of Insight, 4 Impulse, 4 Foils, and 4 Gush. As for lands, we're running 16 Islands and 2 Mishra's Factories. And again, I'm not showing a sideboard in this deck photo because I have no idea what a sideboard could be. It is very meta specific. However, I would have to guess if this is running close to that same 75 that took down the 2 events LobsterCon, there is some amount of Parallax Tides. Anyways, this is my best approximation of what Mike is running, so let's see what his opponent's up to. Next up, we have Ben, who thankfully did submit a deck photo, and he is on Mono Black Zombies, which is, I think, maybe a channel first. We may have had some other zombie tribal decks before, but I'm not really thinking of any, so this might be the actual first, which is sweet because this is a really sweet deck. If you're not familiar, it is a tribal list or a typal list, depending on your vernacular, and it's looking to get as many zombies on the board as possible, overwhelming through basically aggro strategies, but also has backups in Shepherd of Rot and Gem-Balm Polluter to deal a ton of damage sort of out of nowhere. Running through the list real quick, we have 4 Carnophages and 4 Sarcomancies as the 1-drop threats. There are 4 Shepherd of Rots, 4 Gem-Balm Polluters, 3 Weathered Wretch, which are great graveyard interaction, 3 Rotlung Reanimators, 1 Plague Bearer, 2 Undead War Chiefs, 3 Lord of the Undeads, and 2 Grave Defilers. Next up, we have interaction in 2 Blackmails. Love this card, sometimes just better than Duress, and 2 Cabal Therapies, which also works really well with Rotlung Reanimator. For a little bit of ramp, we are running the 4 Dark Rituals. I believe that's a Ken Myers art, which he was actually at this event, which is super sweet. Hopefully you got those signed, Ben. And we can't forget those 2 Bad Moons, which just turn all your zombies into even bigger threats. As for the mana base, he has 14 Swamps, 4 Bloodstained Mires, which I'm a little interested in include there. Maybe there's a reason for it in the sideboard. I don't really see a reason to have Threshold in the main. I'm sure someone will let me know why. 1 Wasteland and 1 Unholy Grotto, which is just such a great include in zombies. In fact, it's probably the only deck you can really play it in. Interesting note, until this point, I thought Unholy Grotto was a legendary land. Turns out it's not. So I may be adding 2 to my zombie list. I did not realize that before. Great card though. As for the sideboard, he's running 3 Snuff Outs, 1 Smother, 2 Perish, 3 Engineered Plagues, 2 Darkest Nights, which given the amount of white weenie we've seen so far in this tournament was a really great call. And I believe that is 4 Drain Lives, the Mirage art for that. Overall, a really cool list. I had the pleasure of getting my teeth kicked in by this list in an earlier round, so I know it can do its thing really well. So I'm excited to see how this plays. So without further ado, let's just get into those games. And here we go. Mike is on the left, Ben is on the right. And I believe I mentioned this in the deck tech, but I actually have no clue what Mike is currently playing. He did not submit a deck photo, and I always do the deck tech if I don't have the deck photo afterwards, so I can at least give you guys a glimpse into what he is playing, because I like to talk through matchups and all that sort of thing. So you guys have more knowledge than I currently do into what he's doing. See a lot of blue cards. Is that a foil? Is he on Dreadnought? That would make sense. Dreadnought for a very competitive list. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of blue cards. So he's either on some sort of Parallax combo. Could be on replenish. But I see mostly blue. Ooh, there's a cool dice. That Black Lotus D20. Alright, we're getting all set up here. And it looks like Mike is keeping. Is Ben going to as well? No, Ben is going to mulligan. Okay, we're going to cut until he's got a keepable hand. Alright, so it looks like Ben has a keepable hand here through the magic editing. I saved you guys some time. There's a portent. And yeah, there's a very good chance that Mike is on Dreadnought. Alright, he doesn't like any of those cards that look like they're mostly islands. Just shuffle them back. Funny enough, I mentioned in deck tech that I played against Ben, and I was also on Mono Blue Dreadnought, but I saw every hand attack card in his deck, and turns out that was good enough to keep me off of the big shrimp. Alright, we got a swamp here into a Sarcomancy. Get a... Ooh, is that a Lemmy from Motorhead Zombie? That is sweet. Where did you get that? That is super cool. I love that. Alright. Rooting for Ben now. I was already, because he beat me and I held my breakers, but rooting for him even more. Alright, there is a Dreadnought. Yes, Mike is on Mono Blue Dreadnought. There's a Stifle and Pass. He has everything he could ever hope for. I don't think Ben actually has a way to deal with a Dreadnought once it's actually hit the board. I think my one win off of him was when I was able to turn to a Dreadnought with him having no hand attack. He has no edict effects, I believe, in the main, so this is going to be problematic. And there's a blackmail. I don't know if Ben just drew it, but blackmail not so great when your opponent has choices in hand. I believe they get to show you 3 cards, and you get to discard 1. So it's fantastic if they have 3 or less, but those are the 3: a foil, an island, and a Mishra's Factory. Probably going to take the Mishra's Factory here. Oh, no, taking the foil. Okay. I guess that makes sense. If that other card is a blue card, he could foil. I'm going to play out a Carnophage and pass. Okay, going to play the Mishra's Factory for turn. Swing for 12. Well, can't really block. Or can you? Alright, we're going to throw 2 in front of the Dreadnought. Go down to 10. Ben going to pay 1 to keep the Carnophage. That's interesting. I would have blocked with the Carnophage if you're going to keep it untapped. It functionally does the same thing as the 2/2 zombie token. Alright, there's a Gem Palm Incinerator. Hit you for 1. Draw a card. And nope, Ben is just going to scoop it up. Turn 2 Dreadnought, turns out, is good enough. Okay, well, now it's no mystery what either player is on. Mike getting a very good starting hand for game 1, and Ben not seeing any real interaction for his opponent. So just gonna go Swamp Go. Interesting, no turn 1 plays. I'm gonna pass it back with an island. 2 mana for... Alright, there's a Withered Wretch. It is interesting getting to see Ben's full list. Oh, that will get Chain of Vapored back to hand. Yep. When I played Ben, like I said, he picked my hand clean. I thought for sure he was running like 8 pieces of hand attack, not the 4. He just managed to find them over and over again, which is what you need for this Dreadnought list. In his sideboard, I'm not sure if he has too much that can actually deal with a shrimp. Let's pull it up real quick. I mean, the snuff out doesn't hit it, right? Because it's target non-black, not artifact. No, it's just target non-black. Okay, so he does have 3 snuff outs. He has a smother. So that's 4 options. Okay, that actually is pretty good for him. Assuming he can find one of those pieces and brought him in. Alright, there's another Withered Wretch. Does it resolve? Okay, got an impulse and response. And the real question is, does Mike have a shrimp? I don't see any dreadnoughts in hand or in the 4 he impulsed. I'm not sure what that top card of his impulse pile is, but might be... Yeah, again, not sure. Anyways, finds a card he wants. Goes to his turn. Draw. Mishra's Factory makes sense. If this is anything like the list I played, Mishra's Factory is a 2 of in the list, and running the rest as islands for Gush and Foil and Daze. Okay, there's a Sarcomancy. Looks like that will resolve, and we will get to see Lemmy hit the board. Gonna pay another 2 to Gem Palm Incinerate, hit you for 2. Draw a card. And just gonna pass after that, which is kind of interesting. You could attack with a Withered Wretch. That factory can't pump itself currently. It still would have Summoning Sickness. Oh, and he does find a Dreadnought. Does he have the tools to play it out? Oh, he does have a foil in hand and at least 1 island, so he does have a free counter up. Okay, we are going to Vision Charm the Dreadnought. Any responses? Are we going to see a Smother? Are we going to see a Snuff Out? Alright, there's a Snuff Out. Gonna take 4. Ooh, does he just have the hard counterspell too? Double backup, and it's a beautiful counterspell in general. There's another Smother. Are we casting the foil? Good God, 2 Smothers on this one. Poor little 12/12. So misunderstood. Yeah, we are going to foil here. Pitching a Gush to do so. I think there was a consideration if you brought the islands back to Gush. Alright, the Dreadnought will phase out. That is actually interesting why Mike would not return 2 islands to cast Gush, to draw some more cards and pitch one of the islands. Okay, we're going to play a Swamp here for a Sarcomancy. Get another zombie. Gem Palm for 3. Draw a card. Digging for 1 more Snuff Out. Notable that Ben is at 11. Oh, can't attack. Yeah, one of those zombies came in. They will chump block. But that Mishra's Factory is going to be enough to push lethal through, I'm pretty sure. Unless Ben has another creature to play. Looks like he might. No, we're going to exile just 2 cards with the Withered Wretch. That is kind of relevant if you have like a Flash of Insight in the graveyard, but I think this is just going to be enough for Mike to close it out. All you gotta do is animate the factory, swing in with both. Yep. Swing for 14 total, 12 of it which is trample. Opponent's at 11. You got 1 blocker. You gotta have a Snuff Out, basically. Does he have his 3rd and final Snuff Out? Nope, that is a fist bump, and Mike takes it down in a quick, clean 2-0. Wow, that was a fast match. Ben having double answer to the Dreadnought, and it was still not enough in game 2. That's honestly pretty rough. All right, well, hopefully you guys are all still with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can find your way back here. We do have a few more rounds of this tournament, and there are a few more rad decks I want to show you, so make sure you do so. It's the best way to support the channel. If you want to support the channel financially, there's a Patreon link in the video description below. You may notice that I've started putting the Patreon names on this little outro. There's a link to the video description below for that Patreon link. I do greatly appreciate it. It helps me with travel expenses like coming to this tournament, and gear upgrades like getting gear that can fit in a suitcase for this tournament, and just making more Premodern videos in general. So again, I just want to thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you next time.